Ladies and gentlemen, our story begins in the small nation of Candar, 1444. Surrounded by the Ottomans on all sides, things seem doomed from the very outset. But our people are far more resilient than that, and so plans began to be made. While attacking the Ottomans was a foolish move, striking across the sea seemed perfect. The most tempting target was Circassia, a tributary of the Great Horde. We could promise Crimea some of that Horde territory and come out on top. With preparations completed, we began our war, and the machinations revealed themselves. A deal, so to say. In underhanded backroom channels, Crimean land was traded for Circassian land. The Great Horde weakens a rival, and Candar gets to grow stronger. A deal we could both agree with. After such a strong betrayal, the Crimean Khanate wanted nothing to do with us, and our ability to call in other allies would be hampered for some time. While that was happening, we set our sights south on Imerti. With the conflict between the Orthodox nations, we could help one side and take some land in the process. After others could trust us again, Georgia and us had a one-war alliance, another quick agreement. After we carved up Imerti, we went back to desiring expansion into each other's land, a war for another day. Meanwhile, the Ottomans were getting dangerously close to our new land in their conquest of Trebizond.
You fought the Ottomans, they took your capital, and you got out of it alive. Pardon me.
With our nation having grown so much, it was time to look abroad for strong alliances. We needed to be safe from the Ottomans. I hedged my bet behind the growing Uzbek and the Great Horde, who we were already accustomed to making deals with. Others were there to bolster numbers. Karakoyunlu's defeat in the south left Bitlis free and without friends. In desperate times like ours, it's important we take advantage of every opening we get. As such, we then help unite the Georgians under our nation. Meanwhile, the Ottomans were conquering their surrounding neighbors. Our time is ticking until we are forced to confront them. But as 1485 came around, I began getting confident. Maybe our allies were strong enough to scare them off. Maybe they just weren't interested in it. But nothing lasts forever. That's when the Ottomans attacked. We fought hard and seemed to be faring well against the Ottomans at first. Their strong Janissary soldiers, however, eventually got the upper hand and won the war. Otto Blob had us cut into 3 pieces and sunk us into debt. Yet as long as our people stand, we shall not be defeated. Vowing to return one day, Candar limped forward. Our leader forged an alliance with Akkoyunlu, who had just aided the Ottomans in taking our land. Now, losing land and befriending the enemy did not sit well with the elite of the land, and upon the monarch's death, a pretender saw his opening. He waged a rebellion to control Candar. With the army destroyed and treasury weak, the ruling family didn't stand a chance, and thus change was brought to Candar. Meanwhile, the Ottomans pushed into the Mamluks and Hungary, growing stronger. With little time to waste, the new monarch brought Candar down the warpath. If Autoblob could grow that fast, so could he. A truce with Kara was trivial. Candar had done way worse. With Kara defeated and a huge swath of land taken, Candar ascends further. From the resurgence, a rival who could help defeat the Ottomans was needed. All eyes were set on Timmy, who was starting to become stronger with each passing year.
Oh, let's go! Timmy! We're going to be fine.
The unpopular alliance with Akkoyunlu returns. They need help with the Hassa. Needing the good boy points on the world stage, we help. We lose our alliance with the Great Horde and Uzbek for it. But at least we have Timmy. That's sure to pay off. That is until Timmy attacks Bukhara, and our great nation gets beset upon by hordes. Our end of the alliance becomes clear. We're meant to be the decoy for them to destroy. We lose land to Kara, but Gaz's attempts to take advantage of us backfires on them, costing them their country. Things become quiet. The Ottomans go on their conquest of Trebizond.
Ladies and gentlemen, they did it again. Trebizond is not conquered after another war with the most aggressive Ottomans in the planet.
And then Timmy does it again. Once again, my lands become devastated, and worst of all, Shirvan takes this opening to devastate our lands, and all that remained of us were 2 provinces. Shirvan is an interesting country. They had been sitting there for 100 years, biding their time as the region descended into chaos. Finally, their time had come. Next came rebels, and my northern province was gone. Kara was at my doorstep of my last piece of land. Every story must come to an end, and ours was no different. After all, nothing can last forever. Our income was negative no matter what, so we were forced into bankruptcy and stood no chance against anyone. But we kept trudging. We would fight to the end. And so the alliance networks began anew. Ajam would be the one to settle on, which worked out well because their war on Kara had been what kept me safe. After our devastating time with Timmy, it was time to push back. We struck at Kara to gain our land back. It was then our diplomats returned to us with interesting news. The Ottomans were willing to accept us as an ally for an eastern buffer. After some consideration, we decided to push for the alliance. After all those years, the promises of beating the Sultan and returning home had become nothing more than tradition. Next on the platter, what Shirvan did could not be forgiven, and we took them out once and for all. After that, Transoxiana decided that it was a time to fight the Great Horde. Our relationship with the Horde is probably never going to be good again, which was great because it left Gaz wide open, allowing us to reconquer the north. And so, the century comes to a close. In the year 1600, Candar was finally a stable country for the first time since our story began. A story of commitment, of deceit, of love. We truly have been the little nation that Candar. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful evening. If you're interested in watching the full thing for whatever reason, I've linked the full 5.5 hour stream in the description below.